Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is Terry Pace. I'm just so happy to have you join us today. Our workshop today is discovering the power of essential oils to deliver therapeutic benefits, right? And so we're going to talk very specifically about, like how does an essential oil do that? And what are the therapeutic benefits that they can deliver to us? I love sharing the science, right? I'm a little bit of a science geek. And so, I promise not to be too sciencey, but I do want to help you appreciate that the benefits and experiences that you receive are directly attributed to the chemistry that's in the that's in the bottle. And so hopefully I will do a good job of helping you appreciate that. So I just wanted to start, there's a changing approach, right? Natural solutions are becoming more and more common, right? And so I first invite you to just explore, well, why is it that this topic was something that you were drawn to, right? What brought you here today? What's your perspective about using natural solutions for, health benefits? Do you already live and love a natural solutions lifestyle? Or are you here seeking safer, more effective solutions for yourself or maybe for a loved one? And so I just want you to reflect on that. But whatever brought you here today, you're not alone in this interest, right? Like, I know that, people are eating better, right? They're searching for and sometimes demanding non-GMO or certified organic products. We see it in all the stores, not just like the health food stores, right? We see it in King Cullen, right? We notice there's a trend to exercise more. And I know that, people are practicing kind of meditative or yoga, right? I see little studios, popping up all over town, right? Every time I turn around, there's another little, studio. And, I want you to be reassured that, whatever brought you here today, whether it's seeking that knowledge or you're already living it, you're trying to understand it a little bit more, right? You are not alone. As a matter of fact, in a recent survey, right, 66% of the US has never used an essential oil, right? And half of them want to try, right? There's a huge interest in trying, right? That there's about 100 million people in the US that want to experience an essential oil, right? So maybe you're one of them, right? That you're just like, okay, I really would like to know a little bit more about this. 53% of the people that are not using natural products rank a healthy lifestyle as very important. And 80% of them are open to trying them, right? And so one of the things that came out in this survey was that 72% believe there's a scientific validity to the use of essential oils for health. And that's big hope, right? I'm going to say that again. 72% of people who participated in the survey believe there's a scientific validation for using essential oils for your health, right? And so, that's why, right, we explore natural solutions, right? They have a rich history all the way back to biblical times and before. And, many of the intrinsic benefits are based on the underlying chemistry of the plant, right? They are now very affordable, easy to get and use. And, for me, when I began using essential oils, 10 years ago, next month, I felt empowered, right? No longer did I feel like a victim to what was happening to me, right? I sometimes felt stuck on an escalator, right? Like I didn't know the solution was right in front of me. And then one day, a good friend of mine shared an essential oil experience with me, and it changed my life. From that point forward, I was seeking understanding and knowledge and, open to using them and trying them, right? I experienced benefits that were dramatic and immediate. They were experiences that totally got my attention, right? And as a science geek, of course, I'm going to start to go and research, well, how did it do that, right? Like, it was just amazing experiences. And so I learned to enjoy the reliable therapeutic benefits. So I would like to share with you a little bit about how an essential oil does that. So I'm going to start with some quotes from Dr. Hill. Dr. Hill is one of the founders of doTERRA. And our bodies react and respond to chemistry, right? We know this, right? Our body is chemistry, right? The things that go on inside your body, it's all, like neurotransmitters and things talking to each other, trying to get your body to do something, right? And so essential oils behave differently than any other chemistry that we see. Certainly different than pharmaceutical medications, and even very different from other natural health approaches, right? And so the first thing that Dr. Hill pointed out was that oils are biologically active, right? Because they work within the system and the confines of your own physiology, right? They have this direct interaction with receptors and with enzymes, right? And so it's reasonable to assume that because some of the chemistry that we see in the essential oils, right, they're going to work independently of the framework of your body, right? So here's an example. So we have a compound, right, oregano. So the question was, does that oil need some kind of enzymatic reaction in order to have the desired outcome on the surface of the cell? Right? Can it destroy a microbe without any assistance from the body? And the answer is yes, right? The oils, are biologically active in and of themselves. The second thing was that, essential oils have very specific cell targets, right? They interact with those receptor sites that are on the outside of the cell and with the enzymes, right? Enzymes kick off every metabolic process, right? They're part of how we trigger something to happen. And, they're catalysts that drive the physiology of the body. And so, I love that they're interacting with those targets, right? The other thing, and probably one of the most important, is that they're selective. So this is another way of saying that we have a differentiated outcome, right? And it's differentiated in two different ways, right? It's either going to protect and support, or it's going to have disruption, right? So it's either going to help the cell do what it's trying to do, or it's going to try to disrupt it, right? So we know that the essential oil chemistry behaves differently based on some kind of criteria of what it discovers in the body itself. I think that's so amazing, right? And so one of the things, like, there is significant discovery, right, that your receptor sites are targeted by oils. And if we understand how and what receptors are being interacted with, right, if we do some scientific studies and do some research to actually discover what receptors is it interacting with and what is the outcome of that interaction, that's how we learn more and more. And then we can actually intentionally produce a particular outcome, right? That's the goal, right? It's going to have these outcomes with or without our knowledge. But now, once we understand how it's going to target a very particular way in that cell, now we can elicit the outcome that we want. So now we start to have some power of intention. So one of the things that's important to understand is that essential oils are lipid soluble, right? That means that they are, lipid is a fat, and the cellular membrane is also, fat loving. And that means it's easy for the essential oil to pass through the membrane. And a lot of the different membranes and barriers in our body, right? Tissues, the cellular membrane, the blood-brain barrier, your skin, like all of these things allow this passage. And so it's kind of like your essential oils are, they have this ability to get where they need to go, okay? The second thing is that they have a very small molecular weight and size. And that means that working in conjunction with the fact that they're lipid soluble, right? They're allowed in and out, right? And they're small enough to get in and out, right? We know that it can readily penetrate some of these barriers that other medications or other products can't get through, right? And, essential oils are going to provide cellular signaling, right? They're messenger molecules. They have a message for your cell, which brings information and knowledge. And so it's like having an all-access security pass, and they have really intelligent messages to bring to your cell and to the process of what we're trying to do, right? And so every single thing, right? Your cells, even your emotions, are directed through this chemistry. So if we can influence chemistry, then we can create change in the body. And if we can create change in that, we're going to have unique and reliable health outcomes, right? One final point from Dr. Hill was that, essential oils can provide a benefit even if there's physiologic compromise, right? So that kind of means that even if the body is having some difficulty getting certain things done, right? Again, remember with the example of oregano, it's going to have an impact in the body, whether or not the body has some kind of compromise associated with it. And so this gives us enormous birth for other outcomes that maybe the body isn't capable of at that moment. But the greatest value to get something like that is when we use the essential oils on a daily basis, right? To give constant messaging to the cells so that it gets instruction of what we want it to do, right? And so this is the way we sustain health as a model of supporting a recovery. Okay, so now what I wanted to do is kind of just expose you to some of the different specialties that are currently using essential oils or doing some research in them. And so, family medicine, oral surgery, women's health, anesthesiology, integrative medicine, and, all types of surgery, right? They're all looking at how does using an essential oil in the context of my practice and the outcomes that I'm looking for, right? Remember, we're getting intentional about what our outcomes are. They are, there's many, many, many ones. These were just some individuals that came and talked to us. And this is back in 2016. So 4 years later, I'm sure that the list of individuals is even greater. So today I wanted to talk very specifically about a couple of different studies that have been done. And so Dr. Raymond Price, he did a study, right? He tested more than 35 oils, both singles and blends, and he was looking to see how they changed the biomarkers in the body, right? Are there different patterns or groups of oils that work the same way? What do these patterns and signatures teach us about how the essential oils work, right? His summary was that oils are active and will impact the biology of the body, right? And that there is a synergy with the body's own processes, and that as we add the chemistry of the essential oil, we're influencing the behavior of the cell in a very positive way, right? And so, his study has been peer-reviewed and published, and it's really remarkable. Okay. We also had Dr. Jared Barrett, who was doing, he's a biomedical researcher for an organization, and he was looking at self-sufficiency in growth signals, right? And, he kind of ventured into, how we look at cellular health, right? What are the different things, right? What are the negative influences, like occupational exposure, tobacco, diets that are low in vegetables, high salt, tobacco, alcohol. So he's looking at all these things and how they impact the cells. And then, how does natural products, including essential oils, start to impact that? And he really had some really great findings in that study that validated the use of essential oils. And now, they're doing some more research to see which oils were the most effective at helping return the cell to its natural state. And that, they were looking for specific cellular activity and which essential oils helped that activity in general. We also had, Terry Mallard and Amy Kine. They were using essential oils in a hospital setting, right? They placed diffusers in a hospital, and they used bergamot, right, over a 4-month period. And they did some surveys of the staff, right? And so they, this study again has been peer reviewed, and they're now kind of moving it into other hospitals. There was such a great response of just diffusing a citrus oil to help improve the work conditions of our hospital doctors and nurses. And so I thought that was a good one to share with you today. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to go in a little bit deeper into the synergistic power of nature that was done by Dr. Nicole Parrish. Okay, and so she, with 2 other colleagues, they wrote a paper, Essential Oils and Future Antibiotics, right? Are they new weapons against these emerging superbugs? Okay, and so they had lots and lots of questions. So they started with, well, are some essential oils better than others against different microbial organisms? Do particular combinations improve activity? How exactly do they work, right? And do they demonstrate activity against even the most difficult strains? So one of the things that Dr. Parrish shared with us was that there's been a great change, right? And so over the last 50 years, right, we look at this, right? This is in 1963. We can look forward with confidence to a considerable degree of freedom from infectious diseases at a time not too far in the future, right? It seems reasonable to anticipate that within some measurable time, all major infections will have disappeared, right? Especially with what we're going through right now, that seems a bit of a lark, right? In 2013, the CDC published this, that CRE, right, it's part of the resistant strains, are nightmare bacteria. They pose a triple threat. First, they're resistant to all or nearly all of the antibiotics that we have, even to some of the last resort drugs. And they have very high mortality rates. They kill up to half of the people who get a serious infection with a CRE. And third, they can spread the resistance to other bacteria, right? So they're sharing the way that they've learned to resist antibiotics that are on the market. Okay, so what can we do about that? Well, in this study that Dr. Parrish did, she tested over 100 different microbe species with 100 different essential oils, both singles and blends and proprietary blends of doTERRA. And what she found, right, like these are the different organisms, right? So gram-positive, gram-negative fungi, mycobacteria, and multi-drug resistant strains, right? And so, you know, lots of different pathogens and germs tested against lots of different oils. So what did they find? Well, when we're looking at gram-positive and gram-negative, 7 oils had significant activity against the gram-positive, 4 had significant activity against gram-negative, and there was an additional 15 or more that had very good activity, right? Then they looked at the multi-drug resistant bacteria. 3 essential oils had significant activity, and there was an additional 17 that had really good activity, right? And so, you know, I'm a believer, right? Essential oils are plant defensives. So it's not surprising that they work, right? Plants have learned to protect themselves, and when we use the chemistry of the plants, we can protect ourselves too, right? So over time, these plants have developed different defenses against different organisms, and now we get the benefit of that. right? And so this has now been published, and so you can find it on PubMed. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how do we deliver those therapeutic outcomes, right? And so, we start with just an understanding, what's an essential oil, right? It is the distilled, we're separating the chemistry, right? The essential oil from the plant material. It comes from the leaves, the flowers, the barks, the berries, the stems, right? They're naturally occurring aromatic compounds that we kind of liberate from the plant material. And that essential oil, right? We talked about that. It's a messenger molecule, right? It has a message for your cell. And it is there to help us with our defensive or recovery mechanisms, right? So I'm going to show you kind of 3 quick examples of, like how an essential oil delivers its therapeutic outcomes. And so here is a peppermint leaf, and magnified, this is the sac, right? And so you see that little sac right here, right? That is the essential oil, right? And so, when we, distill the plant in the right temperature, in the right pressure, it's going to be, extremely concentrated, right? We're going to keep that volatile compound intact. We're not going to destroy it in the distillation process. A lot of the other uses of essential oils are for scent in, soap and personal care products. And so they don't really care about the therapeutic value of that chemistry, right? So they distill it at very high pressures and very high temperatures. And so you're not going to have the therapeutic outcome. You may have the aroma, but you're not going to have the therapeutic benefit because they're destroying the chemistry that's part of it, right? So that's the first thing. The second is, this is a snapshot of a live blood sample. And what they did was they applied an essential oil to the bottom of the person's foot. And 30 seconds after applying the oil, they took another blood sample. Look at the difference, right? It's very dramatic difference. Look at the cells. The blood cells are round and perky, and they're not clumped and lethargic, right? And, so this is 30 seconds later, right? And so when you have a pure and concentrated essential oil, you're going to have some amazing outcomes, right? How fast do they work? Well, it's 30 seconds, right? But we know that the chemistry of the essential oil starts to influence the brain chemistry within 22 seconds, right? And then within 22 minutes, it's in every single cell of your body. So we are going to have pure, potent, therapeutic outcomes because we're using an essential oil where the sourcing of that oil honors the chemistry that's in the plant, right? But not all essential oils are created equal. So we have to really talk about, what does doTERRA do that makes it so different, right? And so there's many different factors that affect the quality of an oil. So the selection of very particular genus and species of the plant, right? Choosing only the correct species is a key part of ensuring that the essential oil will have the proper chemical profile to exhibit the desired benefits, right? The outcomes we want, right? We have to be intentional. What chemistry do I want, right? So, how and where it's grown, how much sunlight does it get, how much water, is it exposed to environmental toxins at all, right? All these things will affect the chemistry, right? How is it harvested? What time of the day is it picked? And what's the season, right? One of the things that we know is that the harvesters will go out and pick the petals of some of our delicate flowers like rose and jasmine and magnolia. They have to pick it before the sun comes up because there's a natural dew on the leaf that, as we distill it, adds to the chemistry. And if the sun comes up and dries up the dew, it changes the chemistry. And so just by changing what time of day you're going out to harvest will drastically change the chemistry, which changes your outcomes. I just think that that's amazing, right? That they figured that out, right? how it's cleaned and separated before distillation, right? And the distillation process itself, right? Like we have to make sure like that we have, you know, a high enough temperature to liberate the oil from the plant material, but not so high of a temperature that is going to destroy it. We also have to, you know, certain particular chemical compounds are only released after a certain number of hours. And so if you distill it for a longer period of time, sometimes we're getting more robust chemistry, right? So there's a lot of science that goes into this. And I love that doTERRA is a science company, right? Their standard of certified pure therapeutic grade means that they partner with growers and distillers, right? And they will not cut corners. They will not extend oils with less expensive ingredients, right? They are uncompromisingly selective about this process, right? They are a science company built on very firm science, rigorous essential oil testing, and, you know, evolving models of how to grow and distill, right? They're constantly doing research to get more and more of the potent and pure chemistry that we need to help us attain these therapeutic outcomes, right? And so doTERRA has pushed the aromatherapy tradition all the way up into this 21st century, and they are an unmatched industry leader in innovation. One of the ways that they've done that is, you know, they source it, right, from exactly where the plant is grown indigenously, right? They don't buy these like mass plots and mass produced oils, right? They value experts and the knowledge of local farmers, and they recruit this expertise into a global botanical network, right? They're, you know, adding consortiums to help these farmers, you know, share distilleries and you know, just I love how they're creating these partnerships in some of these areas where, you know, they're impoverished, some of these nations where they source their oils. And so they're there, and they start to improve the individual, the harvester, the grower, the distillers, their lives, right? Both social, economic, and environmental well-being is important to them. And, you know, they want to, you know, produce the best essential oil, but they also want to help the most at the same time. And so this is an intentional way of working with these small, you know, artisan farms to help us get just the right chemistry. Then once they have the oil, the testing that they do is unmatched, right? You know, we have, you know, I don't know, $7.5 billion industry that doTERRA created, right? So lots of these companies they're no longer on the fringe, right? All the companies want to get in the mainstream of being an essential oil provider, right? The demand for essential oils now exceeds natural production. So many of the companies are going into the labs to start to create what they can't match in demand, right? And so that's something that, you know, could be potentially dangerous if you don't know the source of your essential oil, right? And so, you know, we do a lot to assure the purity and potency, you know, and I could go through all of the different chemical tests that they're put through, right? But, you know, really, I think it's to prevent or detect any kind of adulteration, right? And so there's a lot of that goes on in this industry. And so doTERRA has become transparent, where they take all of their test results, right, the gas chromatograph, mass spectrometry, and they publish it for every single oil, every single batch, right? There's a little lot number on the bottom of your bottle, and you can go and put that in sourcetoyou.com, and you can retrieve the chemical constituents of your particular batch. And, you know, doTERRA they want to be transparent. And I just love that, right? And so as they source oils from all these different countries, love the fact that they're improving the lives on both sides of the bottle, right? Of the growers, distillers, and the harvesters. Their lives are getting better, as well as ours, right? When we open the bottle, when we bring it into our home and we start using these essential oils, you know, we're improving the lives of our family. And so, you know, it's really important for you to discern the quality, right? Like, you know, what is the genus and species name? Is it on the bottle, right? Maybe it's not on the bottle because it was created in a lab and it's not going to have a genus and species, right? You know, one of the quickest ways to, you know, like plant material, right, is different volumes of plant are required for different essential oil bottles, right? So it's about 30 pounds of lavender that you need to create a single bottle of lavender essential oil, right? But it's going to be very different than how many pounds of lemons you need, right? And so just the same way, you know, our vegetables and our fruits cost different money, right, at the grocery store. Well, if you see a rack of oils, I call it the rack O oils, and they're all the same price, that's a good clue that they're probably synthetic, right? You know, making sure that you can view the test results, right? Is your company being transparent? Do you have lists of the benefits and the uses, right? Is there education available to teach you how to use them, right? Are there scientific studies that back up the claims that they make, right? All of these things point towards, you know, ways that we know we have a quality oil in our midst. But the best way is to open the cap and use it. What was your experience, right? Did you have a dramatic and immediate impact? Like, pay attention to what's going on, right? When I open a bottle of peppermint, breathe it in, I immediately have a clear head, oxygen flooding my brain. I think more clearly, my lungs, my airways open up immediately. Like, it is dramatic, it is immediate, and there's nothing like it first thing in the morning when you need to wake up. So there's lots of places, right? doTERRA is committed to education. And so if you want to know a little bit more about how we, you know, the foundation of our therapeutic outcomes, I invite you to explore. Now, if you want to send me your email address, I will send you the links to these resources, right? There's an ebook library of all different topics. We also have, you know, an entire chemistry of an essential oil kind of course. Like, there's modules that are built, and you can, you know, just read through them and try to understand them a little bit more. You can go to aromaticscience.com and kind of look at some of the current research that's being done with these oils and some of the amazing, amazing things we're learning, right? And, you know, download the wheel, right? Here's the chemistry wheel, right? You're going to use this tool to determine like possible choices for whatever you're trying to do. So if you're looking for something that's calming, right? Maybe you don't have lavender, so maybe you'll pick a different oil that's here in the calming section, right? So, you know, it's a lot of fun to play with the chemistry and to explore it. So what I wanted to do is kind of bring this to life for you, right? So I did a presentation at the 2017 ADRC conference, right? It's the Alzheimer's Dementia Research Conference. And we talked about, you know, how could you use essential oils to explore, you know, what was going on, you know, in long-term care facilities, right? You had, you know, particularly in the Alzheimer's dementia wings, you know, restlessness and agitation and confusion, sometimes lack of focus or awareness, right? And so, you know, we were able to look at what were their exact experiences, right? And so, you know, they don't know what they don't know, right? And it's a threat to their independence. And so, you know, sometimes they lose their passion for living. They just don't even want to eat, right? They, you know, if you're a caregiver of someone who has this condition, right, it's so hard for you to see them suffer that way. And you're just so worried as they deteriorate more and more. And, you know, even though you want to be patient, maybe it's very difficult because they ask you the same question that they asked you 12 times already, right? And there's a lot of stress and overwhelm that happens for the caregivers. And so, we look at, well, what's the outcome that we want, right? Right. So we want to promote feelings of relaxation, balance emotions, and promote some positive mood, right? Maybe increase appetite or improve memory recall. And so depending on whatever that outcome that you desire, right, well, then we deep dive into, well, what's an essential oil that can help me with that, right? So, someone who, needs to be re-energized is kind of like lacking in, even wanting to try. Peppermint is a good way to re-energize them. If they're having upset stomach, from their emotional state of the day, this helps alleviate stomach upset, right? Or maybe, it is something where, they just need to breathe life into them. So just opening their airways and getting some more oxygen to their brain helps their brain function better. Right? Maybe it's as simple as some wild orange to improve their mood and their cognitive ability, right? Lemon is another good one, right? I love using essential oils from citrus because they promote, cellular health with their antioxidant capacity, but they're also mood uplifters and they're toxic cleansers. So, perhaps some of, the dysfunction that's going on in the body is because we have these disruptors on the cell membranes where we have to kind of clean them off. And so how amazing it is to just use, wild orange or lemon and just, kind of wipe those slates clean, boost your mood, and, now they're happier. Or maybe just some lavender to help us calm and soothe the mind and the body and kind of reduce that tension, promote that relaxation that we're looking for when they're agitated. So in the moment, we have a lot of choices of what we can do. And so one of my favorite things is to use the Aromatouch, right? Touch is so powerful, especially when we're using essential oils to apply them to someone's hand. And so at Brandon Wildlife Care Community, there's a story of a woman who really just wanted to impact them. So she started going to this facility and doing a hand massage with essential oils. And, it's a great, it's a truly great 4-minute video about her experience and how, it was able to help her engage someone that she loved. And so, again, I'm happy to send you the links to these things if you just get in touch with me. So, I look at my own life as a possible pilot, right? So just for you, figure out, well, what's your goal? What's your objective? Select an essential oil and how you would use it. This one's going in the diffuser. This one's going topically. This one I'm going to take internally. And we're going to look at, well, how will I know if it's working? Like, if, let's say sleeping better is your goal, right? And so we're going to use an essential oil topically and in the diffuser and maybe even internally. And then we're going to say, okay, let's start tracking, well, how well did I sleep the last week as I was using them, right? And then, if you're in a facility, we start looking at, protocols and training staff. But if you're just in your home, it's really just about like, well, we all have lots of things. So anxious feelings, there's, so many different oils that can help with whatever's going on in your life, right? My favorite thing to say is there is an oil for that. And so whatever it is that you're looking to do in your life, I invite you to, use an essential oil that has powerful, powerful chemistry in it that's going to, we can intentionally achieve the therapeutic outcomes that we want, right? And so I'm here to support you. If you don't know how to get started or you already have oils in your home, you just need some more help, you can fill out this little contact me card. It just gives me a way to know how to get a hold of you, right? You can just text me or email me. I'm on social media, so you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. I have a Vimeo channel. Maybe you're watching this recording on this channel. We have lots of different topics that we do every single week. And what we're doing tomorrow is brain health naturally which is, it's another good one, right? How do we promote brain health? If you're new to essential oils, you might want to check out our Intro to Essential Oils class that kind of goes through the basics and the top 10 essential oils and how we would use them. Next Monday, we're going to do some tips on gardening using natural products. And on Tuesday, this time next week, at 2 o'clock next week, we're going to do like fun facts, like things that I have discovered over the course of using these oils. And so I invite you to join us on any one of these and have some fun learning more about essential oils in our community.